morning. I'm Joel Peters, the Planning Operations Trainee for the Rocky Mountain Type 1 team, and do an operational briefing for the Devil's Knob Complex for September 7th. We'll go ahead and get started on the Smith Fire in Branch 1 on the north side. So yesterday in Division Foxtrot, they had some burning operations that were working along some roads and dozer lines moving across towards the north. A lot of that was able to get completed back towards the westerly side and on into Division Golf. They tied some firing operations in from a finger to black that came very close to our containment line and also brought fire back to kind of meet in the middle. This map does not show that, but there is some containment lines with fire along the edges throughout here. One incident that happened last night in Division Foxtrot, they experienced a thermal belt across the upper elevations up here, so they had some higher temperatures and lower humidity, so they actually did get a couple spots last night, but those were able to be caught quickly by our night resources, and as of this time are not an issue. So just some different weather conditions that they're dealing with up there, especially into the evening. As we move across, kind of mentioned it, but from the Alpha Golf Division break just to the west, they brought that fire back across here to help secure this piece of ground and some of that old fire and that steep terrain. One of the things that may happen today, depending on conditions, we're supposed to have some drier air and potentially a little bit of more winds, but if this area does become clear enough, we're going to utilize some of our aviation in there, hopefully, to help check some of this up, and the potential of a little bit of an aerial ignition plan in here. We've got quite a bit of a large finger of green in here, along with our containment line, with our black line that's occurring in there, but we don't want to have anything run to the north and have way too much green out here and make a large push. And that way we can back some fire off some ridges, clean up mostly the understory as much as possible, and not have that just come out of there hard and fast and take out all that timber. Moving over into Division Alpha, hopefully by end of shift today we'll have a really good plan. Some of the other operations folks are working very heavily with the other complex with the Northern Rockies on what the plan is here. All the models are showing that this fire is going to want to push this direction. Some of these roads are very narrow, windy, very steep terrain. The time frames to allow to use some of these roads may or may not work. So by the end of shift today, hopefully we'll have a really good plan on what we're going to do moving forward out here. This is kind of getting this all solided in. Really good plan here, but today you'll have a plan on figuring out which direction we're going to go and how this is all going to work in coordination with the other team and the Jack Fire in their complex. Moving further down into Bravo, one of the biggest things going on there is the Ash Valley. So yesterday, in some of these fingers of green that are shown in here, the fire was backing off the hill towards these structures, so they had to initiate some firing operations in defense of these structures down in the southern ones here. And sounds like it was very successful. So today they're doing a lot of mop-up and securing in there around these structures, and they're also got to do a little bit of cleanup in this big, large finger up here to keep anything from trying to make its way up, and then also have a chance to run back at the structures and impact them there. So they'll be cleaning some of that up today as well. Once again, depending on weather conditions and RHs on how much they're able to get done in there. Moving further down, I'm into Charlie. Charlie's looking really good with the exception of a couple spots, a couple locations, where they've got a little island down here that they're dealing with of unburned near their control line. Hasn't been an issue yet, but they're working on securing that. And also this finger in the old Buckeye 3 fire that's in really steep terrain. We're not able to put folks in there due to snags in that super steep terrain I mentioned. So they got a good plan on there on how to secure that if that does try and move. We haven't been able to use any aviation in there like they have in the past, just due to smoke conditions, but they're keeping a very good eye on that stuff before it has a chance to do anything. Wrapping around into Echo, this stuff has been under heavy patrol all the way up and over into the Foxtrot country. There were some firing operations that were completed in here several shifts ago, so we've got a couple days of work already in there on securing that. So hopefully as we move forward, some of our black on the map for containment will move further up this road and contain even more of that. So once again, heavy mop up and patrol in there. So now we'll jump down to the south into Branch 3. We'll start on the north, work our way around counterclockwise. The Mule Creek fire. has had line around it for quite a while. Folks looked at it yesterday, looking really good. Not much concern there. Yesterday, if you noticed on the map, we had Division Lima November. That has been combined into one. That's just Division November. Did that just due to the fact of that piece of ground is looking so good that we can have it supervised by one division supervisor instead of multiple. So they're still got resources in there, still patrolling heavily, mopping up as needed, but they're finding less and less in there as well. So that's a good thing. As we wrap further around into Juliet, a little bit, not as many shifts of having secured burnouts and or direct lines in there, so they've got a little bit more work on that end as far as patrol and mop up as they work north, but that stuff is also looking really good. This map shows it quite well on how their burnout operations came down and made a turn down into the 29 road along the creek and where that was tied in, so that shows it real well. That stuff's looking really good. Heavy patrol and mop up in here on making sure that's secured. There is a spot outside of the line, got to be approximately 1 acre, but got that all lined and secured and working on mopping that up this shift as well. So it's all looking good. It did get a spot out there, but got that secured. Moving across the top in here where the fire's trying to back off the slope down into the creek. A lot of patrol along the main 29 road in here and keeping an eye on this stuff as it comes down to see if we need to do initiate any kind of firing operations, if the air clears enough, utilizing some of our air resources, etc., to keep that stuff here and preventing anything moving to the north. The complement of aviation is the same as yesterday. We've got 1 air attack, 2 Type 1 helicopters, and 2 Type 3 helicopters. So, kind of mentioned it earlier, depending on our air today, hopefully we can utilize some of those resources up here on the north end to help secure some of the burnout operations and potentially do some aerial ignition just depending on conditions. Thank you, that's all I have.